have never desired your good opinion.
People fear what they do not understand.
I have a headache, a badge, and a gun.
Power is yours.
Behave.
I was just trying to start a conversation.
And share the wonders I've seen.
Hi, and welcome back to The Wonders I've Seen. I'm your host, Tanagra, and this is the second part of our three-part discussion on Star Trek Discovery, aka STD, with my guest, J-ecks. In this episode, we delve into Hollywood's ambiguously ethnic washing, forgiveness, and the never-ending slew of prequels. We begin our discussion with the questions, is Vox Tyler white passing? And did they intend to make him look more ethnic when he started romancing Michael? Or was that just Sonequa Martin Green's lighting? Enjoy the wonders. Alright, so Vox Tyler and Burnham. So, right, we cheered for them because we were just happy to see two minorities falling in love, which we don't see in sci-fi or outside of that. As a prolific reader of romance, you don't see it much there either.
I mean, Tyler, I actually had to look up that he wasn't white.
I knew he wasn't white. Come on, you could look at him and tell he wasn't white. What white? What non-white? I don't know, but he was not white. And for me, that's all that matters in television.
He could have been Italian. I feel like on some
shows... No, he was totally not Italian. He was... I mean... Come on.
I feel like the Mr. Robot guy kind of, he's...
Rami Malek?
Yeah, he's racially ambiguously white on that show. Like, he plays white on that show, but, like, in real life, he's...
Egyptian.
Yeah. And I'm like, I kind of put Tyler in that same thing. Like, I knew he was something.
He's not. He's totally brown. I mean, like, actually brown, like his skin tone. Not brown as in, like, black, brown, yellow, whatever. Like, he's actually brown. I don't know why you're making a face at me like that's going to change.
I don't know. I just, Okay.
Okay. I'm not saying that I can't see where you're coming from. But, like, the first episode I wasn't certain, right? When he meets him, like, he and Lorcan meet. But then after that, when he's like,
after that, I could see it. But, like, in the beginning, I didn't. But, like...
In the beginning, I didn't. But okay. In the beginning,
I also could see he, as an actor, playing both. Like,
no, I feel like he would fall into the I'm going to play somebody who's like one parent is ethnic category, but he could never pass.
One of his parents is ethnic and one of them is white.
But that's what I'm saying, he could never pass for white, though.
I feel like they do that with a lot of half-white people anyway, though.
Right, but that's Hollywood. Yeah, that's not his fault.
So that's why I'm saying I feel like he has... I mean, we're talking about Hollywood, though, so I'm not saying how he feels as a person. Like, maybe he as a person is, like, very proud of being Pakistani. But, like, he as a person who
is in this industry.
Right, can easily, I think, could go out for those roles that might be designated white, and we just don't talk about it. That he's not.
See, I feel like he's too brown.
Look up his,
I have!
And what has he played? Because I feel like
right. But nobody lists ethnicity, or, like, even name, like, a lot of times. I feel like he's played a lot of racially ambiguous, or he's played, like...
Right.
Like, and stereotypical, like, Middle Eastern roles.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying, because even in this, his name is Tyler. He's not playing someone of Middle Eastern descent.
But he's played people of Middle Eastern descent before.
Right. I'm just saying he does both, so that's why I'm like...
But playing somebody who's racially ambiguous is not the same as playing somebody who's white. There's a difference. I don't feel like he can pass for white. Not by Hollywood standards.
Okay, yeah, but to me, I mean...
He's not
honestly, to me, who cares if you're playing racially ambiguous? You're not playing someone of color. You're playing someone who's safely not a color.
I see what you're saying with that.
It's just like, it's like Dean Cain. It's like
Dean.
And it's like, Keanu Reeves. To be honest, I mean, they're both of color. And they're both like, you can look at them and tell that they're Asian. However... They don't necessarily have to play those characters. And Dean Cain could be walking down the street, and if he wasn't Dean Cain, I would be like, there's an Asian dude. And the same with Keanu Reeves, there's an Asian dude.
Right, but
in movies, because they play racially ambiguous, and if you had these, like, two white parents, we're like, okay, that looks a little different. Rashida Jones, another one. Like, okay,
right.
We're not going to talk about it, but we all know. And I mean, like, to me, that's what racially ambiguous kind of fits into.
No, okay. I actually agree with you on that front, that racially ambiguous is not the same as saying I am a person of color. I completely agree with that as well. I just mean that...
I just feel like it's a Hollywood safe place to try to say diverse when it's really not.
I watched almost every single Meghan Markle film, like, on Hallmark Channel, and even in those films, they straighten her hair into an inch of its life, and then everybody who plays her family member is a white person. Right. So, like, sure, you're like, she's something, but they're like, we're just gonna, cast her with these white people as her family members, and, like, because it's safe, but she's enough not white that, like, we can do it, but she's not too black. Right. Yeah, I agree. I feel like he falls into that until, and I don't know, in all honesty, if it's lighting, if it's makeup, that all of a sudden after he's no longer a POW and their romance starts, he is a person of color becomes more obvious. But even then, they don't ever talk about it. I mean,
the lighting is probably still, like, a thing, because, like, when he's not, they're lighting the main character, which is Burnham, which they're lighting for a black person, and not lighting for Lorca, who's a white person, who's going to just change the way Tyler looks.
Which is why, so when they're together, you're like, oh, it's an interracial couple, two minorities, which I was like, yes. I was so happy. I tweeted about it.
But I'm just saying, when I first looked him up, I had to see what race he was.
Fine. That's fair. I knew that he was not, but I also understand what you're saying, that that saying you're racially ambiguous is not the same as saying you're a person of color. And I definitely respect that difference, particularly when it comes to Hollywood, because, like, there's a lot of...
And I mean, I feel like, especially coming from mixed race people...
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean...
You're actively capitalizing on the fact that...
you don't fit into this category.
Right.
I mean, there's racially, like, let's say biracial people. There are biracial people who look like myself, who, I know people can't see me, but who look like myself, who are just, like, unapologetically black.
Right.
You know, like, there's, like... Yes, some people are like, oh, yeah, I can see you being Asian, but there's no doubt that I'm black. So I am not...
Right.
I am not racially ambiguous, because people can see...
They choose a race for you.
Yeah, they can see which race I am. And if they could see two, they could still see which two I am.
Right.
You know?
No, that's very true.
I mean, I find... Tracy Ellis Ross is another one. She, she can never play... Like, yeah, she could play biracial at most. But most of the time she plays black. You know, because it's really like, okay, but we see this. We know you're light. And you got some curl to your hair, but you black.
Right.
But you're not ever going to play,
right,
like, again, like I said, the Rashida Jones of the world, where, okay, we're going to just not talk about what race you are, and you're going to be ambiguous. So...
Very true. Even, like, I put Maya Rudolph also in that same category, who, like, it's very interesting because my mother is a fan of her mom, who was a singer,
right,
and she's like, she looks like... a pale white version of her mother, and I saw it, and I was like, oh, she really does. Because, like, her mom couldn't pass, but she straight up can.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm like, once again, I don't hold it against her, because I don't feel like she hides
the
fact
I don't
who her
hold
mother
it against
is.
any of them, but I'm just saying as far as...
But I also understand, like, the benefit and the privilege that comes with it.
Right, so, I mean, I'm just saying, if we're going to talk about Hollywood,
that's
it's just
fair.
like, I feel like this was still, like... You know,
it was still
like
very safe casting.
Yeah, it was still safe casting for them,
even for a progressive show. Let me put that in ridiculously emphatic air quotes progressive show like this. Right.
So
I also feel like it was more of just like, I do feel the fact that it was a minority couple that was in love wasn't actually a goal so much as like, oh, it happened.
Right.
Like, I gotta be honest. Because
right. Well, because their love makes no sense.
No.
Like, I mean, that's like
some
people we know in the world who fall in love after they meet somebody after the first time.
But love is love. Love is love. Love is love.
This is like
love is
love at first sight. Yes.
That's right. Sing it with me now.
Which is why, even if Lorca is like the traditional interracial couple, I'm like, I believe that more, because I even believe that he whatever infatuation he had with her, which still, because they kind of screwed that up.
I know, yeah.
They could have went so much further with what, I mean, I found him to be so interesting, and then they just kind of like,
Jason Isaacs walks that line of, like, evil, creepy, yet I still feel that maybe there's some good in you so well in his characters. I mean, even,
because, you know, honestly,
even in Malfoy, he pulled that off.
I didn't even understand at the end. Or, well, not at the end. I didn't understand when, like, they killed him off.
So, okay, switching gears.
To the Terran universe.
So, I felt that he actually just wanted the Emperor's power. That was it. It wasn't a coup so much as... It wasn't a coup in the sense of, like, he's trying to overthrow her and form a new... Like, no. He was trying to replace her.
Right.
And so that's...
But I didn't really understand because,
it.
like, we'll say, like, in the Terran universe, he's, like... I don't know. He's code for white supremacist. Species supremacist.
See, I feel...
And, I mean, because those
like
Terrans
all humans are, though, right? All the Terrans are.
So,
yeah.
But here's one who was really good because he fit into our not our universe, but, you know, the regular Star Trek universe, as we will call it for now.
Whatever it is from Star Trek.
But he worked well with all the other species. You know, like... So I'm just like...
But he tolerated them, not accepted. And I feel like...
Did he? But I felt like he treated everyone the same. Humans and non-humans alike.
Well, no, I'd agree. But I think it was a means to an end, not an actual acceptance. But once again, I'm saying that as I'm reading that into it, not that they...
Right. I don't think they portrayed that well. I'm like, I see why you're coming up with that, because that's how they ended it. And of course, like... someone on the writing staff will say, yeah, that's what we meant. And I'm like, no, that is not what you did. You just know that's what happened.
Yeah.
Because I felt like they didn't flesh that out enough. Because I was just like, wait a minute, why is he the bad guy now? Because I'm still not really understanding what his motives were.
Right.
And they didn't flesh that through. And, and they honestly didn't flesh out through, I knew, like, why, like... what his relationship with Burnham was in the Terran universe.
Well, no, but there's that beautifully written and delivered line that Emperor Giorgio gives that, like, and he groomed you, and it was so loaded, and you're like, oh. And I got it, right? Like, it's like a sexual relationship. At a certain point, they went from, like, him teaching and grooming her to being like, oh, we're partners, and, like, Burnham in that universe was like, yeah, I'm here for it, and they were a pair, and then it just sort of dies.
Yeah, and then I'm like, but, you know, like, there has to be some kind of weird, even if it's just, like, this sick love or whatever, but, like, some weird thing where he travels to another universe just to get another her.
But that's also why I believed it.
Yeah.
Let me be honest.
I'm like, then you ended off with not really following through. Like, you start off with this great idea, and then you don't follow through.
Well, because I feel like he sort of starts it when they're in the Terran universe, and he, like, when she's like, bring the prisoner to my chambers. Yeah. And he's like, well, no, but you're not alone. Just remember, you're not alone. I'm here with you. And he's doing the whole, like, supportive thing. And I was like, you're trying to woo her. This is your courtship. Like, and I saw it then. And then the writers don't do anything with it. Because they're so busy being like, we need to get back to the other universe. And I was like, y'all have so much loaded in here. I was hoping that redhead with half a head shaved also was into Burnham, so I was like, oh, we're gonna get like a love triangle while she's dealing with the whole Vok Tyler thing, and then Lorca's pursuing her.
For her.
No, I was like, well, because she was watching her so closely, and I was like, oh, maybe that's what the camera angles. Oh,
I thought it was from mistrust.
No, right, but like that's what I'm saying. But they left it open to be more, whether it was romance, whether it was mistrust. They created that by focusing on her, and then they do nothing with that character, and you're just like, y'all put so much into this Terran universe, and then you do nothing with it.
Yeah, that was a missed opportunity. If I ever saw
and Lorca's romance with Burnham was part of that. Like, if they would have played it out and let him stay like in that torture chamber, and he would have been her only link to humanity and like to being like in Starfleet Federation after like Tyler tried to kill her, I would have loved to watch that play out. Like, that would have been excellent. Mm-hmm. And you don't get it.
Yeah,
you don't get it.
So I feel like, but I believed him more than I believed Tyler, what I'm saying in the whole love thing.
Well, you know, when somebody's like, pickup line to me is like, I wish I could remember our first kiss. Like, I'm not really feeling you.
Yeah.
Let me just be honest. Or then you're telling me about how like delicious trout is that you fish, and like I eat a lot of fish, and like trout is not really that great.
Trout is delicious, girl. What?
I'm not saying trout isn't good. I'm not saying I don't eat trout, but for him to be like, over an open fire, and I was like, hey, exactly. Like, really? Come on. And then he's like, well, maybe we just won't have you go back. And she's like, but I can't end the war. I started this war. I have to finish it. I'd be a fugitive. And he's like, well, maybe you should. And then I'm like, what? You would fall in love with an idiot like that? Like, you were raised on Vulcan. So, like, you're finally going to start exploring your emotions, although you've been with Giorgio for 7 years, but now you're exploring them, and you're going to go for a fool like that. Come on now. There was never any male... Oh, wait, that's right. Due to rank, she could never entertain any sort of romantic relationships, and now that she has no rank, she can open her heart. Right. It's a really, really well-written romance.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, And I felt like, okay, I was okay with the romance if I thought it was going to happen over, like, 3 seasons. It happened over 3 episodes, or 2.
That's actually one of the few things that I can give Voyager points for the B'Elanna Torres,
the Torres, what's his name?
Paris.
Yeah, Paris.
Torres-Paris romance, that shit was a slow burn.
That was, because when it happened, I was like, God, finally! My God! You guys you're killing me here.
Yeah.
But I was like, if these two do not get to, if this show just go off the air and these two don't get together, I'm going to write somebody.
I was like, finally! This is taking too long, right?
Like, both of y'all, get your head out of your asses and get to it.
And that's what I was expecting and wanted for this, because they presented both characters being, like, so complex, and then next thing you know, they're saying...
One of them are really that complex.
But, like, they're not, but there's, like, you know that hint of complexity, but they're not.
But
so I was like, you know what, if you're going to hint at it, go with it.
Right.
And then they completely just, like, nah, they're not.
But this is where I feel like the writers just didn't follow through with, like...
Yeah.
With ideas that they had.
Well, because even like him coming out and realizing that he was Vok Tyler rather than just Tyler, and I do enjoy saying that name. I'm not gonna lie. I enjoy it. I enjoy it so much. I'm like, Vok Tyler? But then again, I just appreciate Klingon as a language. Like, even with him coming out and revealing that he is Vok Tyler, like, they do it so quickly. And I was like, you could have let this build in the Terran universe. You could have had this play into her, like, her insecurities, how she starts to doubt herself. This could have been a beautiful character development. And, like, her coming into her own, like, sense of self and, like, figuring out who she was and holding on to who she was in the Terran Empire. And then, like, Jason Isaacs' character, Lorca, like, trying to play on this and, like, making her feel, like, emotionally indebted to them. And instead, you just have him, like, go through this awakening, for lack of a better term, and then he tries to kill her, and then that's it.
Yeah, and then she doesn't forgive him. For someone who is in love with him.
And every time I look at you, I picture you with your
even
hand around my neck.
He literally probably has the best excuse than anybody to, like, be crazy. Because he literally is crazy. I mean, he really actually had, like genetically imprinted someone else's...
Right.
Like... What? Like, he actually has 2 genetic imprints on his...
He actually has no idea who he is.
Yeah. I mean, like...
He's right.
So, I'm just like, you honestly can't believe that he is... Like, you can't forgive him for him...
Right.
Because he actually has, like, 2 personalities living in him.
Or at least, like, try. And she's like, you got to figure it out on your own. And I'm like, look, I appreciate the fact that you had to figure out who you were emotionally... But what you went through and what this guy is going through are nowhere on the same page.
Yeah, you're going through an identity crisis.
Right.
He's going through some medical issues.
Right, so for the fact that you're trying to, like, equate them, which I was like, this is so problematic for the writers to even try to equate them, and then for her as a character to do it, and the fact that you were raised on Vulcan, and you're a science officer, and you don't understand the difference between your emotional growth and his mind literally being cut up and fucked up with.
Also, I mean, he's gotten organs ripped out of him.
Right.
Because, you know, Klingons have, like, 2 hearts, and he now only has 1.
Right.
Because he got 1 ripped out of him.
Right, so, but you want to be like, I just can't forgive you. At least, I would have...
I literally got a heart ripped out of me.
Right. If they would have been, they would have had her be like, I want to forgive you, and then, like, maybe one day, and then instead it's like, I don't forgive you, and then at the end, does she say something about, like, thank you for the experience or the love or something
like that.
And then she gives him a kiss, and then that's it, and I was like, then this is not any character, like...
No, and I was disappointed at the end that he decides to go with the Klingons, because one, I was like, that doesn't make sense because he doesn't look like a Klingon.
No.
And then two, it doesn't make, I thought it was...
Well, also, would the Federation really let somebody who has all the knowledge of a Federation officer of his level of rank just go with the Klingons?
No.
And he can't be he's like, I'll be a liaison with the Klingons. I'm like, based on what? What goodwill do you have with the you have more goodwill with the Federation than you have with the Klingon Empire. Yeah. So based on what? And you're just hoping that they don't kill L'Rell, who's the one person who's on your side, who actually knows who you are? Like, I'm sorry, that doesn't make any sense. And then even when L'Rell is giving, like, her final speech, he's not front and center with her. He's not even there. Mm-mm. So I was like, is he already dead? Because that would make more sense to me, in all honesty. One of the few things in that last episode of the season that would make sense if he was already dead. But, like, it's so just unsatisfying. Like, they leave so many things that could have been great, and they're like, we need to tie it up with a bow. Like, I wonder if the writers thought they were going to be canceled, and that's why they did it. Like,
they don't even have that much. I mean, it's on CBS All Access, so it's not really like they have to deal with ratings as much. I mean, you don't have to. I mean, you could kind of do the Netflix BS where they kind of say, yeah, we have great ratings, but no one actually sees them.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, but I mean, like,
All Access can do the same. It's
they
just
could, but I don't think their PR machine is up there, like, thinking through it. Right, because think about all the bad PR that came out before the show even debuted. Like, it's ridiculous. Them talking about not being ready, them delaying it over and over.
Yeah, but still,
the showrunner leaving.
They had a lot of people who signed up for CBS All Access.
I agree.
Just for the show. So, I mean, as much as they want to say, I mean, you know they have the name behind it, so it's kind of like.
But I feel like they didn't.
I don't think it was I think they knew that.
So, but
I don't think CBS.
So you think it's just bad writing?
Yeah, I don't think CBS corporate is that dumb.
Oh no, not corporate. I meant like maybe the writers were worried that they were going to be canceled because it feels like they rushed everything.
Yeah, I think the writers were just half-assed.
I'll give it that.
Because I mean, this happens to a lot of shows where I feel like. They just wanted, they're like, oh, let's do this, and let's do this, and let's do this, and let's do this. And then... Yeah.
Like, I need more than a 3-point outline. I need, like, a detailed outline with, like, sub-points, and then sub-points.
Well, like, if we think about, like, what Star Trek Discovery is, and then what the Star Trek franchise is.
Right.
And, like, who watches what show. So, like, I feel like Discovery is kind of written like how a lot of shows are written nowadays. I feel like a lot of shows are not really... I feel like a lot of shows aren't really thought through. I feel like a lot of shows nowadays, because we're so fast-paced, are just like...
Yeah, because they're expecting you to sit there and marathon it, but I feel like it also leaves so much, and it requires the audience to... fill in those holes. But when I'm watching Star Trek, when I watch any sci-fi, in all honesty, I don't want to fill in the holes. I want you to spell it out for me. And like having sat down,
but a lot of people do not like world building,
right? But then you don't watch sci-fi. Like, let me be honest, you don't watch science fiction or fantasy if you don't want world building, right? Like, as bad as The 100 was, shout out to CW, when it first started, at least they built their world, and they built that world, and it was some slow ass building, but they built it, and now they can do whatever the crap they want. And I'm like, well, yeah, that makes sense in their world, right? Like, take the time to do it if you want me to invest in your characters, because I don't care otherwise. Like, we're both sitting here talking about how, like, we supported the show because we loved the two main female leads, one because she was black, and then one because, like, she's Michelle Yeoh, right? That's a problem, because even after watching the entire first season, I'm still not more invested, and I'm pissed that Michelle Yeoh's character is still not the lead of this show. That's problematic. And when you know that you're like trying to tap into a fandom like Star Trek, which gives you a lot of leeway to do shit that you normally wouldn't do, capitalize on it. Well, you already have
your world building there.
But that's what I'm saying.
So you have character building.
Right, but so you have no reason not to do things slowly. Like, that's
but this is
my
where I feel
problem
like
with it.
They don't have to do any world building, but this is where I feel like a lot of shows today with writing doesn't do a lot of character building. So,
but
because really the problem with Star Trek, I mean, one of the
with Star Trek or Star Trek Disco?
Just Discovery.
Okay.
The problem with Star Trek Discovery, I mean, besides that, it doesn't fit in this timeline. But if we're talking about the story itself, it's badly written.
It is.
And when we talk about character development, characters, etc., if we take this, even if we were saying this is a workplace drama, and this isn't, no, I mean, I'm serious. If this is
I'm laughing because I agree with you.
Yeah, if this is a workplace drama, it's still bad writing because it's just like,
yeah.
And I mean, honestly, CBS could have just like, it could have used the same formula that it uses for most of its shows.
I mean,
to be honest,
yeah,
and it would have worked. It just put it in the Star Trek.
It actually would have worked a lot better.
Like if you use your NCIS formula or your
look, there's a reason
formula,
those are so popular.
Yeah, and they 20 years.
AKA,
yeah.
I watch them almost all of them if they're on the television.
Yeah.
Like,
I will watch an episode twice or 3 times or 100 times, whatever.
And I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this one. Oh yeah, he's guilty. And I sit there and still watch it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think even in those shows where the character development still takes years, it's just like, why not even, even if it's Star Trek, just use your same formula.
But I agree, and I think that's a problem though. With this, they were just too busy trying to be like fast paced. Like I feel like a lot of the writers were not Star Trek fans. Like they watched the Abrams films and were like, okay, we're gonna do that. But Abrams films are also not up to the level of character development and writing as Star Trek series is, right? So if that's what you're basing this off of, and you're saying that I want to attract fans of the Abrams films to this show, then you're already starting at a point that's not where it should be for television. Because he's working with an hour and a half or 2 hours, and you're working with hours of television.
Yeah.
So do better. Like, they should have done better.
You really didn't have to, one, as much as I like the Terran universe, I always think parallel universes and time travel are a lazy writer's way out.
Oh, complete. I feel like that was the problem here, that everything they wrote was planned for the Terran universe, right? Because they didn't know what to do before the Terran universe,
And then once they go with the Terran universe, they didn't even stick with that.
No commitment.
And then they go back into the regular universe, and
then they're like, and now we're at the TOS and we're gonna meet Pike.
Yeah.
Right.
Which I don't know why they wanted to make this a prequel so bad.
Well, given that, like, it's not
because honestly, if they made this a sequel to DS9, it would have been much better, even if they did all the spore technology, the weird uniforms, not the Klingons.
The weird technology, not just the spore technology, this whole, like, holograph that we're driving with our hands.
The technology is fantastic.
I
would actually say the technology is the best thing that is on the show, but it doesn't work in the timeline because it's so much better than any Star Trek franchise technology.
It is, but that's also why I thought
including the Abrams films, it's just so much better.
No, but that's also why I thought it made sense when they went to the Terran universe, because, like, right, if the ship gets stuck in the Terran world, then we can just say, like, oh, that was an uber advanced ship, so that's like, they no longer have that tech, it falls right back in the timeline. And now it's just like, why would you do this when, like, there's DS9 and there's Voyager, where literally it opens the world up to you because there's a wormhole in DS9, and instead you're going to make a prequel.
They went to Quad 4, or another quadrant.
Right, in Voyager, which is the whole reason why they couldn't get home. Right, and then you're like, you know what? Let's do a prequel.
Which I'm tired of prequels in general. I actually read somewhere where generally people are tired of prequels.
Seeing as how my other favorite franchise is about to do another prequel, thanks Stargate, I'm sick of them too. Like, yeah, I'm so sick of them because
Stargate's doing another prequel? Why?
No, their last one was a sequel, Stargate Universe, which also, like Star Trek Disco, does not fall and was not in the tone of the show, which is why I feel like it ended early.
Well, now they're canceled.
Right, exactly.
That's why.
Right. Now they're doing a prequel, which I'm just like, that doesn't make much sense. It's a prequel to the movie, which was a prequel to the series. And I was like, or you could just do something in the future or do it on another planet. Like, there was literally an entire Stargate animated cartoon where they went to another planet. Like, why don't you just do that? Like, what is this fear that shows how to do something new. Because if somebody's not a sci-fi fan, they're not going to watch your damn show if it's not good, right? Like, people tuned in to Battlestar Galactica and they tuned in to Game of Thrones because they were good shows. Like, there were fans or genre fans like myself, like you, who would watch it anyway. And then because they were a good show, others tuned in.
Yeah.
I do not know anybody who is not a Star Trek fan who is actually stuck with Disco. I don't. Like, I don't. Like, it's just not their thing because they're like, oh, it's still so sci-fi, but it's not a good enough story. They're not drawn in. They're not emotionally invested. Like,
yeah.
It's not there. And partially because it's so poorly written. So, like, don't stop trying to pander because the pandering's not working. The prequels aren't working. Like, I don't care.
And they didn't do enough Easter eggs to pander to Star Trek.
No. Yeah, and also all the Easter eggs, like, all the fans knew them the moment they showed up. It wasn't a smart Easter egg, like, oh, we're going to the Terran universe, and everybody's like, all right, so we're going to get Michelle Yeoh back, because, you need somebody popular. I thought they were going to get Wilson Cruz back, because, well, like, killing, bearing your gaze.
Let's talk about the other interracial couple.
Actually, yeah, like...
Who are also... Because this was the other thing, when we talk about diversity, is that I felt like this was a checkbox. So we have our black female.
Correct.
And our Asian female son,
Correct.
kind of, sort of. And then we have our gay couple.
Right.
And, one is Latino.
Yes, and then we have our neuroatypical person with Tilly, who then becomes socially awkward, who then becomes overweight and out of shape, although she's a cadet who's qualified enough to be on a ship, who then becomes, now I'm in charge of science and healing somebody, and I'm going to be recommended for the commander program.
Right.
So, like, they handled that character really well. Like, really well. I totally got what Tilly was supposed to be, which is...
No, I didn't until you told me. I didn't know she was supposed to be...
neurotypical?
What, is she supposed to be autistic?
No, they don't ever say. They just say, like, literally. Like, I believe she says when she first meets Burnham because of, like, her... Does she say disability?
Yeah.
Or...
But then it sounded like she just had a whole bunch of allergies, which then I was like, how did you get into... First of all, how are you now and you have all these allergies? Because they have a cure for cancer. And then, two, I was like, how did you make it through Starfleet with all these allergies?
Right, and because they made you a cadet, so I directly know that you are from Starfleet. Like, you didn't just enlist and you got lucky. Like, you applied to the academy or are on the... Right.
So, but, I mean, so back to...
Wait, no, let's finish Tilly. Let's finish Tilly.
Okay, let's finish Tilly.
So Tilly is also problematic because...
Tilly was very... Well,
she's supposed to be neuroatypical, and I picked up on that she was supposed to be a neural disability because the speech pattern that they have her adapt is something that I'm used to hearing, and I was like, oh, okay, I think she's supposed to be autistic, like, not far on the spectrum, but, like, along that spectrum, and, like, I worked with autistic kids, so, like, I picked up on that. That lasts for, like, an episode, and then after that, she says they're at the party in the time loop episode, and she's like, oh, but when I'm at a party and I drink, I'm fine. And I was like...
That's not how that works.
Right, you just set her up to be autistic based on, like, her speech pattern and how she interacts and touches things, like, because they talk about, like, the feel of certain things bothering her, which is why she has to be on a certain bed. And then, right, you're like, okay, well, she's at a party, she drinks, and all of a sudden all that goes away, and she's outgoing and wants to flirt and make out and have, like, sex with random crew members. I was like, okay, sure. Okay, all right, fine. Maybe that's how autism works in the future. And then after that, she doesn't have any of that.
Right, because then after that, she's just socially awkward.
Right, which is not the same thing as autistic.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, that's problematic. And then Tilly is obviously a larger size, aka average, to Burnham. And so then Burnham is, like, trying to help her when was the episode where she decides that she's going to start the captain track or the commander track. And they're, like, running around. And then she's, like, telling her all the proteins and the nutrients, basically.
Oh, yeah, because she's trying to get her on a diet.
Right, she's trying to get her on a diet. And I was like, but she was already a cadet.
Yeah, so she should actually be in tip-top shape.
Right, which is also problematic because then they're saying that because she looks a certain way, it's also implying that she's not in shape. And I was like, did y'all not think about this? Obviously, you didn't think about this because the size of a person does not indicate whether or not they're in shape. And then being socially awkward is not the same as being autistic.
Right.
Like, as much as I like Tilly, and I think it's similar to, once again, with Burnham's character, and to, like, it's because I like the actress and they're trying and what they represent, right? Mm-hmm. That's what it was with Tilly. Like, I think the actress is great and she's charming, and that's what she brings to the character. But the character herself is really problematic.
Yeah.
And they should have thought it out. Like, if you're gonna write a character, and literally the first time I see them, they say that they have a disability, and then you introduce them with coded neuroatypicalness, and then from there she's just awkward. Like, you should have thought this out more. Like, you could have made her just, like, cute and charming without trying to dive into something you don't understand.
And there's a lot of autistic people who make great engineers, so I don't really understand why. I mean, again, just go off of what you know today.
Right.
So it's just like, we know these things today. We know that there are women in the military who are in combat. We know that there are or people who are on the spectrum who function in the workforce.
Right.
You know,
like,
so
it's
like,
a spectrum because it's so wide.
Right.
Like, that's the point of it.
I don't understand. I mean, and we already established in our minds that Geordi, who was blind, if he could be in Starfleet, then hell.
Right. It's not that exactly. The idea of, like, what is a quote unquote a disability doesn't actually exist.
Right.
Right. So, like, what's the point of Tilly, like, if you're not going to stick to it, if you're not going to talk about it?
And I think it's problematic just to say, like, autism is a social awkwardness, because it's not.
No, it's not at all. It's not the same thing. Like, yes, you can learn coping mechanisms with autism depending on where you are on the spectrum or what exactly you need to do, but it's not the same.
We don't go through that with her.
No, we don't, actually, which I was hoping we would.
And honestly, by the time she's the age that she is,
and already a cadet.
Yeah, she would have probably already went through all those coping mechanisms.
Right. So
as a young child.
Right.
Because as we know of today, the younger you are diagnosed, the better off you are.
Right.
So I'm sure in 150, 200 years, it will just be that much more ingrained.
Exactly. Like, she's so problematic. That's why I feel like, once again, the writer's room was just not diverse enough. Like, don't create a character that you can't write for.
Right.
And I feel like they do that constantly. And that's problematic for me. Like, no. Alright. So Tilly, I hired her because of the actress. She's great. She's charming. And I loved her as Tilly.
Yeah.
I really did, but I loved everything about the Terran universe, in all honesty. But yeah, the idea of, like, a neurotypical character being written as she was is really problematic, and I'm hoping that they just sort of, like, drop that idea going forward. They don't ever mention it again. They just leave her as, like, awkward science cadet, and that's it. Right? Like, yeah. That's all the wonders I have to share with you today. To continue the discussion, you can find me on Twitter at @GGNOC You can also find us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. Leave us a message. Thanks for joining us. Make choices and don't frolic out. I'm going to wait for the honking to stop. Oh, come on.